on Resource Review, we step back in time and explore 3 resources for teaching the Victorians at primary level. They are a role-playing day out at a grand Victorian house, an adventure story about a Victorian orphan, and a multimedia pack exploring the lives of Victorian children. Recommending today's resources, we have Anna Warne. Anna is Teacher and Assessment Coordinator at Goldstone Primary School in Hove, East Sussex. And on the panel today, we have Fiona McCorkadale, who's Assistant Head Teacher at St Luke's C of E Primary School in the London Borough of Islington. And we have Peter Taylor, who's Head Teacher of Worth Primary School in Poynton, Cheshire. And, of course, Matthew Tosh, our resource investigator, is out and about exploring what teachers and pupils make of our resources. Well, Anna, let's talk about your first choice of resource for us today. And this is a role-playing visit to a stately home. And in this case, we're going to talk about Preston Manor in Brighton, near Brighton.
Yep.
Tell us about this resource and how it works.
This is a fantastic resource for getting involved, children enjoying themselves, seeing real life in the Victorian times. It totally engages the children into what life would be like to be a servant living in a home like this. The children apply for jobs before they arrive. There's 4 jobs they apply for, and then when they arrive in costume, they're met by a member of the household who can be very stern and very strict in their role play. Then they get taken through the house, split into 2 groups, and they get taken round the dining room where they learn to lay the table. They're cleaning shoes, they're washing the floor, banging carpets and cooking.
And this all takes place on a half-day visit?
Yes.
OK.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We sent Matthew Tosh over to Preston Manor and he joined the Year 3 applicants from West Hove Junior School to see how they get on.
Well, I'm here at Preston Manor in Brighton, and to be honest, I've had enough of this television lark, so I've got myself kitted out and I'm about to apply for one of the jobs. Here I go. Can I have a job, please?
Round the back with you. Be off.
New line in front, please, down here.
My name is Mrs. Story, and I'm the housekeeper here. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Well, Debs, we've escaped the beady eyes of Mrs. Story. Can you tell me what the children have been doing here?
Well, the children have been going through a number of chores, both upstairs and downstairs. They have been cleaning bedrooms, blacking fireplaces. They've also been going downstairs where they have been working in the pantry and then working in the scullery.
Correct. Come over and sweep up the tea leaves. Because these tea leaves are slightly ever so moist, the dust particles, in fact, cling to the tea leaves, leaving a dust-free carpet. And that's how
I think the children really are amazed at the task that they've been asked to do because they've been treated like adults and expected to come up with the goods. And they're also being asked to do quite difficult tasks.
You can tell me what this course is.
Do you think it appeals to all learning abilities?
Well, I think that really is one of its advantages, that all children are being challenged today. It's excellent that the lower achieving children have a chance to get this real experience, so they're learning through movement, they're learning through the visual stimulus. On the other hand, it gives the higher achieving children a deeper insight to the things that we would have covered in class.
Come on, work as if your life depends upon it, because it probably will.
I think it's a stunning visit because it consolidates absolutely everything we've covered, but it actually brings us further on. It gives a new place for us to visit and other things that we could now go and follow up.
Thank you very much, Deb. And now we'd better get back to Mrs. Story.
I think you'll keep your head down. You impressed me in the kitchen, and I think you and Cook will get on very well.
Well, I didn't get the job. I'm stuck in television. Let's go back to the studio.
Well, Anna, Preston Manor looks wonderful, but what can you do if your class can't get to Brighton?
I think the first protocol would be to contact your education authority because they have a list of buildings and museums around the area which can stimulate the children and give them a similar experience.
OK, thank you. Well, Fiona, what do you make of the visit to Preston Manor?
I think this is an excellent example of how a visit like this can add an extra layer of enrichment to teaching. I mean, the children were all involved, they all looked like they were really getting into it. And it's quite, you know, it's a real opportunity for them to have hands-on experience for something that they otherwise wouldn't be able to.
What about you, Peter? What do you make of this resource?
I love this sort of resource, and we have resources like this.
Right.
Quarrybank Mill is one. It's a visceral experience. So that experiential dimension, if you like, supplements the work they do in the classroom, the reading materials, etc. And I think it's just really good fun.
I think so. It's the
I enjoy
hands-on, it's the opportunity to actually feel what it'd be like to be that child.
It's not just looking, it's taking part.
Especially children who come from more affluent areas, they do not understand that someone would tell them they had to beat a carpet and do more and do more. At the end, when they were giving out the jobs, you could see these children, fingers crossed, they really wanted it. They were in role play, they were desperate for the job. And then when we came back, we wrote recounts and we really thought around all the different areas that we could pull it into the curriculum. Although we were doing history, it didn't feel like we were studying history, it felt like we were studying the Victorians in every area possible.
Right. Thank you. Thanks all very much. Now it's time to move on to Anna's second choice of resource for us today, and it's a book. It's called Street Child. Anna, tell us a little bit more about this book.
OK, again, another resource to get the children really thinking around the whole life in the Victorian times, not just one specific aspect.
And what's the book actually about?
It's based on a true story about a young lad who was orphaned and then got taken into the workhouse, and how he escaped and his survival on the streets of London, how hard it was being taken onto a boat. And it's actually the inspiration of Dr. Barnardo's. It's recommended for over 10 years, and I think that would be advised if the child was reading it themselves. There's quite a lot of sad aspects and in-depth aspects, but if you're reading to the class and you know you're going to discuss it, talk around it, be able to research areas, I've used it with a Year 3 and a Year 5 class.
OK, thanks, Anna. Well, now let's go back to Matthew. He's gone to Lowther Primary School in Barnes in London to see how Street Child fared in the classroom.
Well, I've been having a look at this book and I'm really intrigued to see how Lorraine Fear is going to use it in a history lesson with her Year 4 class. I think they're ready, so let's go and have a look.
OK, Year 4, we've spent a lot of time looking at Victorians, and today we're going to be doing some work from this book. Misbehaving, are you? Get to the trough, animal. And the boy crouched on his hands and knees in front of a pig's trough that was there, and the boy had to eat his food from it.
Lorraine, can you tell me how you've been using the book in today's lesson?
Yes, we read an extract from the book, and then I got children to think about what it would be like to be a child in the workhouse, and they created some frozen pictures of that. Then we discussed Jim's decision to leave the workhouse, and we did a conscience alley for them to decide whether they would escape from the workhouse. It gives a lot of information about the role of the Victorian child and different jobs they may have done, the life in the workhouse. Children can empathise with the character Jim, and it's also good for doing a lot of drama work with them.
Now, do you think there's any cross-curricular link?
I would do a lot of work in literacy lessons with the book. I'm getting them to do a lot of drama based on the book, and then maybe writing diary extracts and stories from the eyes of a Victorian child. And also at the end when Dr. Barnardo takes him in.
Oh, you! Faster with that broom! All right. Sweep that floor faster! It's not clean enough yet, it's still dirty!
And so, your overall impressions of the book?
It was a good book because it told us a lot about the lives of Victorian children, and I'll definitely use it again in my history lessons.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. So it's thumbs up here, but what does the panel think? Back to the studio.
Peter, what do you make of Burley Doherty's book Street Child?
I thought this was, being based on the Barnardo story, made it really interesting to read. Having said that, it was a little bit like Catherine Cookson for children.
Right.
And at times, it was harrowing, you know. I put the book down and I thought, gosh, will some of the children be able to handle this? Now, I think many children could, but dealing with this book in chunks as part of a history programme around that period for the children in school, I think that would be a very, very good way of using it.
Fiona, what did you make of the book?
As an adult, I actually really enjoyed reading it as well. I can see that you can use it in a variety of different ways in the classroom. I think I would quite like to use it as a basis for the whole Victorians topic, that as you work through it, you can examine bits a bit closer. At the start of the book, before he's orphaned, you can look at living conditions, then you can move on, look at the workhouse. It touches a bit on girls going into service. There's just a huge number of things you could use it for.
Well, thank you. Now let's move on to Anna's third choice of resource for us today. And it's down here on the table. It's called Children in Victorian Britain, and it's a DVD plus from BBC Active. Now, Anna, describe what you get in this resource and what makes it stand out for you.
Within this resource, you get a DVD with a focus on children at work, children at school and children at play. There's also a teacher guide which is full of activities and ideas, and there's picture cards which are a great historical resource for children to question, and at the back of the book there are a few resources such as reading comprehensions and ideas for teachers.
Can you give us an idea of what's on the DVD?
Yeah.
I have here a model of a steam engine, and I shall show you the workings, because as boys you need to understand mechanical things.
Now, what do the panel think? Fiona, what do you think of this pack?
It's a very comprehensive resource, very useful. On the DVD there's a huge range of things, from kind of reconstructions to a commentary on various different things, some images. The only ever so slight problem I have with it, the format of it is of a children's game show, and in slightly lurid polyester costumes.
So that's another section of the DVD, right?
It's a theme that runs through each of the programmes. I as a personal taste, wasn't that keen on that, but the actual resources themselves that you can use are of very high quality.
Okay. Yeah. Peter?
I quite like the game show, actually. Maybe I like lurid colours.
I think it inspired a few children when you said we're going to put on a Victorian DVD, and you can see their faces go, oh. But again, as you said, you can cut it out. It's very interactive, the DVD, that you can fast forward, take sections. Right. You can just take bits that you want.
It felt like fairly good quality interactive children's TV. There wasn't too much whooping and shouting. It was pretty good.
And what about the other bits and pieces that you get?
Oh, it's absolutely great. I think it's really, really good. Some of the support materials, there's photographs and images from that period as well. There's access to a website. As part of a topic on Victorians, this was very, very good. I've only got one slight comment. Personally, on several computers, I found it quite hard to load, ready to project through the interactive whiteboard technology.
So maybe one little technical hitch that could be ironed out.
It could have been a personal one.
Yeah, but
otherwise
we've used it across 3 classrooms and haven't had a problem.
Didn't have a problem.
Again, it's technology, so...
OK, just watch out for that. All right, well, thank you all very much. That's all we've got time for today. But just to recap, the 3 resources that we've looked at are a role-play visit to a Victorian house, in this case, the Situations Vacant activity at Preston Manor, Street Child, published by HarperCollins Children's Books, and the Children in Victorian Britain DVD Plus pack from BBC Active. For more information on the resources that we've discussed today, go to our website. It's teachers.tv/resource review, or if you want to, email us, resourcereview@teachers.tv. Very big thank you to our panel, to Anna, to Fiona and to Peter. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Resource Review. Bye-bye.